Hi guys, it's Miss Tara. It's time for story time. Hope that you have your stuffies and your soft blankies and you're ready to hang out with me for a little while and get a Bible story. Today we're going to read about King David. So I love King David. He was a mess, and I think that's probably why I love him so much. So here we go. Everybody at King Saul's palace knew about David, the shepherd boy. He had killed the giant Goliath, and he played beautiful music on his harp. After the battle with Goliath, David went to live at King Saul's palace. There he met Jonathan, the king's son. They liked one another at once. They were best friends, and they shared all of their secrets. I love friends like that. David was famous. All the Israelites liked him. He was so brave. The king became very jealous. They will be making him king next, he thought to himself. I must get rid of him. Even Jonathan loves him best. One day, David was playing some music for the king to cheer him up. Suddenly, the king picked up a spear and he threw it at David. David jumped out of the way. The spear struck, quivering in the wall. David ran away from the palace. Believe I would run away too. Jonathan was very sad when David went away. Everybody loves David, Jonathan told King Saul. We can all see that he is growing up and he will be a great man. And that just made the king hate David more. Jonathan told David that Saul was going to try to kill him. David knew that God would take care of him. He had promised that one day David would be king of Israel. But still, Saul tried to get rid of David. One night, there was a great feast in the palace. How can I come to the feast if the king wants to kill me? David said to Jonathan. If he asks where I am, tell him I have gone to see my father. Jonathan promised to tell the king. At the great feast that King Saul asked, Where is David? Then Jonathan told him. He went into a rage. Why are you taking sides with David? He said. You are my son. You should be king when I die. If I don't kill David, he will become king. Jonathan went to tell David, You must never come back while my father is alive. He will kill you. David did not know where to run, but he knew that God would show him. He went to live up in the hills where there were some caves. Some of the friends went with him. David knew that he was in danger, but he was sure that God would take care of him. The king kept trying to find David, to kill him. One day, King Saul sat down to rest just outside the cave where David was hiding. David crept out and he cut off a piece of King Saul's robe. And the king walked away. David called out to him, Why are you trying to kill me? I came very close to you just now, but I did not hurt you. And the king saw that David was holding a piece of his robe, and he knew that David was right. But before long, the king forgot that David had not hurt him in the hillside, and he went again hunting for David. This time, David crept into the king's camp at night. He took the spear that was stuck in the ground at the king's head. In the morning, he called out, King Saul, where is your spear? It was gone. Saul knew at once again David could have killed him, so Saul went away. One day, David heard news of a terrible battle. King Saul and Jonathan had been killed by the Philistines. It was the saddest day of David's life. He missed his best friend very much. The Israelites crowned David the king. God's promise had come true. There were still many battles to fight, but they knew that God would help David to be a good leader. David conquered the city of Jerusalem. There was a great celebration when he brought the special box which had God's laws to the city. David himself danced for joy. David wanted to build a temple for God in Jerusalem. He made all the plans, but there were still many battles to fight. David and his army fought all the enemies of Israel, and at last there was peace. King David ruled over the great nation. He loved God all of his life. He did not always obey God, but when he had done wrong, he was sorry and always asked God to forgive him. God kept all the promises that he had made to King David. Your son Solomon will be the king after you, God said. He is the one that will build the temple for me. So you can read all about King David in 1 Samuel, starting at 18, and it goes all the way telling about David in 2 Samuel and into Kings chapter 2, where it talks about the kings. David was the first king, so he's first in the book of Kings. So for homework, I think it would be fun to make a slingshot. My kids used to make slingshots all the time when they were younger, and Lindsay helped me make this one. If you go outside, you can find a tree lots of times that has a natural slingshot. And we didn't read about in the book about David killing Goliath with the 3 stones and his slingshot, or when he was a shepherd boy, how he learned how to use that. But I just can't hardly think about David without thinking about the slingshot and Goliath. So we used yarn. You can use any kind of twine, and there is some in the craft room in pre-K. If your parents can come get some if they don't have some at home. And sticks. And just make sure that you go around a bunch and then you go through the middle, and that'll keep it sturdy. And your slingshot can be super wide at the top. I made mine skinnier because I only had a rubber band at home. And you can actually, if you ask your parents, they might even let you shoot paper with them in the living room. You just put your rock or your paper, whatever, right there, and it flings it out. Part of my sticks fell off. But anyways, that is a pretty cool slingshot there. And I hope that you guys get to make one too and practice your aim. That should be a lot of fun. So that's actually your homework. Just make a slingshot. Your parents can just text me that, yep, you made a slingshot and you had a lot of fun with it. Your verse is the same as last week, James chapter 3:13. Who among you is wise and understanding? Let him show by his good behavior his deeds in gentleness and wisdom. So maybe you worked really hard on that verse and you already know it, and you already sent me a video of saying it, or your mother has already told me, or your father's already texted me that you have done it. So just say it again to your parents from memory. Make sure that you got it up there in your big, beautiful brain. And think about David, the fact that he just had a slingshot and he hid in caves. And he made bad choices and did a lot of sin, but God still really, really loved David. So we're never outmatched when we have God. So I miss you guys a whole lot, and I love you, and I can't wait to see you soon. Bye.